Hey, what's up everyone? This is Adam here with We Got This, and today you get to see my face. You might have seen my face in other videos that I've posted in the past, or you may have came and watched me stream, but this is my face, and the reason I'm doing this is I might start doing this more in my intro to my videos, just because I have a good camera and I just want to utilize it, to be honest with you. But in today's video, we're going to go over the best beginner classes in the Elder Scrolls Online, in my opinion. There was a comment on one of my videos, and I've seen a lot of comments on other videos that people were kind of like, what's a good beginner class to start out on ESO? Because ESO doesn't really have a beginner class. It's not set up like that. So you kind of have to have someone show you or find your own class that you feel like is easy to learn. So we're going to get into that here. But first, before we do that, just a reminder, if you ever want to watch me play live, I stream on twitch.tv/BrawWeGotThis on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. That starts between 7 and 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That link will be in the description if you want to go give me a follow. Also, if you want to join my Discord, I've had a lot of people join the last week. It's been awesome. Make sure to check out that link in the description as well. That will be there for you guys, and I want to try to build a really awesome community. Also in my guild online, just message me, friend me at King Bra. You can join my guild, the Necro Daddies. But I just want to build a cool community, and I hope that you guys will want to be a part of that. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So what I'm going to cover in this video today is a few things. One is DPS healer or tank better for beginners to learn on? Is Magicka characters versus stamina characters better? Which one is more efficient? Is there a better one to pick? There's going to be 3 specific classes that I actually go in depth on and explain to you guys a little bit the rotation and the skills involved that is very catered to beginners. And then I'm going to cover which class overarching is best for beginners. So what I mean by that is, you have Sorcerer, Dragonite, Templar, Necromancer, Nightblade. You've got all of those classes. So I'm going to talk about which class is, in my opinion, the most friendly for beginners to start out on if you wanted to maybe just pick a class and kind of customize your build the way you wanted to. And also, guys, I just want to mention too that obviously I know that there's going to be some classes that I'm going to miss in this video. I know that there's going to be some that people may comment and be like, well, what about this class? This class is really easy to learn and play. And I know that, so you guys can just comment those below. But I'm not going to be able to cover every single class, and these are just going to be a few of my favorite ones that I think are best for beginners when I get into that. So the first thing I want to go into in this beginner guide is I want to talk to you guys about the different classes that you can be in ESO. So you have healer, tank, and DPS. Now, obviously, that's pretty common around most MMOs, but all the classes I'm going to talk to you guys about are going to be a DPS class. And the reason it's going to be a DPS class is because in ESO, in my opinion, tanking and healing is not easy. There might be some people out there that say, oh, healing and tanking are an easy thing to do. It's not. For someone that's just starting out in this game, you really have to know the mechanics of certain dungeons, of certain bosses, and it's not easy to learn. It has a high learning curve to it. So I'm going to focus mainly on DPS classes, but I want to give you guys a comparison of why that is, because the way I like to put it is healing and tanking is like snowboarding, okay? I'm a big skier. I like skiing, but healing and tanking is like snowboarding. People will tell you that snowboarding is hard to learn but easy to master. DPS is like skiing. Skiing is easy to learn but hard to master, and here's the reason. For healing and tanking, it's very hard to learn the different aspects of it, in my opinion, but once you learn it, it's very simple to follow. Healing and tanking in ESO is very reaction-based. It's a very reaction-based class. So for instance, you may have only 3 or 4 things that you need to be doing constantly as a healer or tank on your skill bar, as well as knowing, obviously, the boss mechanics, maybe where to kite the boss if you're the tank, maybe like where to put the heal down if you're the healer, like if there's a phase coming up that you need to basically heal the whole team at. There's those aspects, obviously, but as a tank, your main purpose is learn how to kite, learn how to taunt, make sure to pull the ads or bosses or whatever you're doing, do that, do like a small rotation, and then when things are thrown your way, like maybe a teammate gets down, you may have to pop a shield or you may have to pop a buff or something. Obviously, you have to throw down your AoEs and all that stuff, right? If you've got them as a tank or whatever. But all I'm saying is that plus healing. Healing is, you've got to throw buffs to your teammates. You've got to heal them. You throw down maybe an AoE, and then you kind of sit around and you react. And you obviously have skills that you're doing, and you have buffs that you're doing. But I feel like healing and tanking is so reaction-based that once you get past that high learning curve, you can actually master it pretty easily. You just have to learn how to react in certain boss fights. But with DPSing, it's very easy to learn, and it's a lot more straightforward to learn. A DPS's purpose in the game is to deal the most amount of damage as quick as they can. Yes, you need to not die. Yes, you need to know mechanics eventually, and you need to know, like, okay, do I need to kill all the ads, or do I need to, block a command, or do I need to break free of something or interrupt someone? Yes, but when it comes down to the basics of DPSing, your main goal is to do damage, and the best way to do damage is to master your rotation. So the easiest rotations, I feel like, are the best ways to learn how to play ESO, because there's some complicated rotations in ESO for DPSs. You have just like, in my opinion, I think the Magicka Templar is a very complicated rotation, because you have so many different things you have to keep active to optimize the most DPS that you can do. But there's other classes that don't necessarily have to pay attention as much, I feel like, to the rotation that we're going to get into. But as a DPS, it's harder to master it, because the people that are at the top tier mastering their rotation, that are just like, animation canceling, just everything, they're outputting more DPS than the average person, which is why they're able to do trials at such a high level, or be able to do some of these hard challenges. And so it's very hard to master that, okay? So, but the entry level and the barrier to learning that, I think, is a lot lower than being a healer or tank. So that's why we're going to talk about DPSing classes, because I feel like those are the easiest barrier to break when it comes to beginner classes. The next thing I'm going to go over with DPS classes is it better to be Magicka based or stamina based when you make a character or a class? So in my opinion, when you're first learning how to navigate a class, your Magicka and stamina resources are usually going to be low no matter what, and no matter which one you pick. The reason being is your bar isn't fully optimized yet with all the skills that you have maybe in your in-game build. You haven't fully grasped the rotation yet, so you're still learning, what skills comes next and which ones do you do then and in certain situations. And you simply do not have the benefit of the champion point buffs. These really, really help you have sustain. And again, we talk about sustain in some of my beginner videos. Sustain is the ability to basically have Magicka or stamina always up, so you can do your abilities and do the most damage. So yes, I know that things are scaled when you're in CP and when you're not in CP, and so you could say that it really just scales with you anyways, but you will usually run out of resources frequently when starting out. And obviously, I know that some people are a lot better at this game than I am, and so like they may be able to fully optimize their characters as they level them to 50 and maybe never run into resource management problems. But for me, I'm not that good, and I have that problem a lot, and I think most people do. Now, however, when you get into the in-game portion, I think that stamina classes are a little bit harder to master when it comes to DPSing, because when you run, block, and roll dodge in a fight, you are using some of the resources that allow you to do damage, which is stamina. However, in Magicka, you aren't using those when you perform these actions. So it leaves a little bit extra that might be able to help you do a little more damage or not interrupt your rotation at all. I think what happens with stamina characters in the in-game is it forces you to be more potion and buff savvy, which means you need to know when to drink a potion based off of your rotation, and you need to know that in and out. Because say you're doing a rotation, like I'm doing a rotation here, I'm dropping buffs, shooting my staff, whatever, doing my skills. If this was a stamina character, if I'm in the in-game and I'm really exhausting a lot of my resources, then I may have to, use a potion because the boss might have done a mechanic where I had to block, or the boss might have done a mechanic where I had to roll dodge out, and that took away some of my resources. So I may have to learn how to implement potions better in my class. Now, again, obviously, I know Magicka characters still have to use potions and such, but I feel it's just a little bit more crucial with stamina characters in some ways. Now, the 3 classes I'm going to show you now in this video, 1 is Magicka-based and 2 are stamina-based. But what I want to talk about first is when you're building a beginner class, I believe that there are a few things to look out for that can help you build an efficient beginner class, and things you need to look out for that will be more beginner friendly. And one of those is uptime on skills. So for instance, if you have an AoE skill that is basically has like a 18-second uptime, like the duration here you see of eruptions 18 seconds, or if you have one that's like 35 seconds, when you see something that high, that's pretty solid, because what that does is, as a beginner, it allows your skill to last longer, which then gives you more room for error when you're doing your rotation. So for instance, if you go through all these skills and then you accidentally miss the next eruption cycle by like a second, that's okay. But there's a skill, in some classes like Templar, where it has an uptime or a duration of maybe 5 to 10 seconds. And so you constantly have to be having that active. In some classes, if you want to perform your class at the highest level, or like pretty high level, some classes require you to have certain buffs or certain skills active almost at all times, because if you don't, it significantly lowers your DPS in a certain situation. So that's one thing to look out for, is you want to look for skills that have long durations in a sense. Now, not every skill is going to have a long duration, and I get that, but looking for those is very helpful, and that's something that you can look out for. Another thing to look out for with those is, again, there's going to be some skills that are basically like chain effects. So there's going to be some skills that rely on you doing other skills that are going to give you a ability once you have certain skills active, or once you hit an enemy a certain amount of times, or once you just do something, it's going to give an added bonus from that skill to be able to do that. And so those are kind of difficult at first for beginners to understand. So if you can stay clear from that, then that would be ideal. So I'm going to go into my first class. My first class is Magicka Dragon Knight. That is this character that I have right here. This is my main. You can say that, that's a biased, opinion or whatever, and it is a little biased, but I do genuinely believe that this is one of the easiest classes to understand. And before I get into this, I want to also mention to you guys the classes that I'm about to show you. This class, I got this build from Deltia's Gaming, which he was a YouTuber for ESO. He created amazing content, amazing guides. I don't think he is actually creating content anymore, but you guys should definitely check him out, and I'm going to put his YouTube channel in the description. He still has tons of guides and videos that really help people out, so I would definitely recommend checking that out. And then 2 of the other builds that I have on here are from Alcast, and Alcast is one of the best people in the Elder Scrolls Online community that makes builds for people. Me personally, I'm not great at making my own builds. I'm not that smart when it comes to that. I'm a smart person, but when it comes to that, it is beyond a certain level, and he is brilliant, and he creates great build videos. So I'm going to also link his YouTube channel and his website in the description as well. But what I'm going to show you here is I'm going to go in depth a little bit of this class. So first off, on my first bar, I have Blockade of Fire, which is a destruction staff area of effectability. This lasts for about 14 seconds, as you can see in the duration, and it's one of the best AoEs in the game. Almost every staff-based class is going to run this. I mean, it's just great. So I have that there. I've got Burning Embers, which is just like a close quarters damage dealing, fire dealing, ability. It also heals me for 75% of the total damage inflicted, which is pretty solid, and it also ignites a burning status effect. I have Inner Light, which I only run this for the slotted effect, which gives me max magic increase by 5%, and Major Prophecy, increasing your spell critical by 2,191. I have Molten Whip, which is kind of a mid to short range ability, but when you activate different Ardent Flame abilities, you gain a stack, which increases the damage of your next Molten Whip by 33%. So once you gain 4 stacks, you can do an extra one basically that does more damage. And that's kind of like a skill that I'm talking about that kind of builds over time, that I told you that aren't usually beginner friendly, but this skill in particular, in my opinion, isn't that hard to proc. You don't really have to think about it, because I'll get into that in just a second and I'll show you why. And then this skill is Engulfing Flames. This is a flame blast that basically just ignites your enemies, and then any effective enemies take more damage from all flame damage based attacks. And so basically, like, this build is based around fire. So, like, this is a key part of the build. And then you have Shooting Star Ultimate, which is from the Mage's Guild tree. Then on the back bar, which is the bar that I start on, we have this ability. We have Igneous Weapons, which this gives your allies, Major Brutality and Sorcery, increases weapon and spell damage by 20% for 54 seconds. So that lasts a long time. We've got Eruption. This is an AoE that's really good. Lasts 18 seconds. They actually nerfed this. It should be a little longer, and I could tell significantly, but it's still pretty good. Then you have Degeneration, which does just a solid amount of damage to a target, and then it also grants you major sorcery and spell damage for 24 seconds for 20%. And then you have Flames of Oblivion, which raises your spell and weapon critical, gives you major prophecy and major savagery. And then this is Harness Magicka. This gives you a shield, basically, and restores some Magicka as well. This is an ability that you use when you need it. So basically the rotation this is what it starts out as. I start on the back bar. I always do Igneous Weapons, Eruption, Degeneration, and then I do the Flames. I switch bars. I do the Gulf, I do the Flame Slash, Flame Slash, Flame Slash, and then you see my stack at the bottom. It said 3, and then the Flames. So then you just keep doing this, do another stack, and then right about then you can switch to Eruption because it's up. It's got 2 seconds. You can do your Flame, you can do Degeneration, you can go back to the Breath, you can Whip, and you can do this. You can drop this until you get 3 stacks again. Then Eruption's almost done. So basically, with the rotation, obviously that's not like as clean as it needs to be, but I'm just kind of showing you the basics of the rotation. And the reason why I'm telling you that the stacks of that one skill right here, the Molten Whip, isn't too complicated to understand is because what you do is you do this Eruption, Degeneration, Flames of Oblivion, and also make sure to light attack between things if you can. Then you drop this, you do Flames, then you drop this, and then you just do this until you have three abilities. So that's one ability. This is 2, 1 more, and then you do the Whip. And then you just go back and forth between the Embers and the Whip until Eruption right here is up, which by that time you can get about 2 cycles. Drop Eruption again, Degeneration, Flames, Gulf, Blockade, and do it over. That's literally what you do in the rotation. And in my opinion, it's pretty simple and it's pretty easy because your abilities are actually longer than, 5-10 seconds. So you've got a little bit of time for error, and I think that bodes well for beginners. Okay, now we're going to talk about the second class that I have for you guys. This one is a Pet Sorcerer class. Again, this one is a class derived from Alcast HQ.com. I'll put that in the description. I'll also put the link to this class if you guys want to follow it to a T. But I used to have a pet sort class in this game, but I deleted it a while back just because I didn't have enough space. So I'm starting another one here. So this one's only level 8, but I'm just going to explain to you guys some of the skills and how the rotation works a little bit. But it is probably one of the simplest classes to learn once you do it because you don't really have that many skills that you have to do. So what you're going to end up wanting is you're going to be wanting the Volatile Familiar pet, and you're going to be wanting the Winged Twilight pet. These are both going to sit on both of your bars. So they're going to be 2 here, or you can put them wherever you want, but you want 2 on your front bar, 2 on your back bar, okay? So right there, that limits the amount of skills that you even have to use because when the pet's active, you basically don't have to do anything. There's some activated abilities that the pets get that you can look more in depth on his build about that, but it's you summon them and they do work for you basically. So those are 2 skills that take up 4 of your skills total. Then you're going to have Daedric Curse, but it's going to morph into another skill that's going to be on your back bar, you could say. Then you're also going to have Conjured Ward. That's going to be on your front bar. You're going to, again, have the Blockade. You're going to have Wall of Elements. That's going to be on the same bar as your Conjured Ward. And then on that same bar, you're going to have the Lightning Splash, but it's going to be morphed into Lightning Flood. So basically that front bar is going to be AoEs. That's all it is basically, in my opinion. So you have Lightning Splash, Blockade, and then you have another AoE with the Conjured Ward that also gives you a shield. On the back bar, again, you have the 2 pets, and you are then going to have Crystal Fragments. That's going to be morphed as well. You're going to have Degeneration. That is in the Mage's Guild skill line, and then you're going to have that. And then you're going to have the Daedric Curse skill that I talked about on your back bar. So the back bar is Daedric Curse, Degeneration, and Crystal Fragments. So basically what you do is you drop your AoEs in the front bar, which is the Unstable Wall, and then the Lightning Flood, and then you switch to your other bar, and you do like Daedric Curse. You do your pet. You could do 1 or you could do 2 of them. You do Daedric Curse. You do Crystal Fragments, and then you do like Degeneration, and then you switch back to your front bar. And basically during all of that, you do a bunch of light attacks, and this class is actually built around just proccing your pets, and by doing like some heavy attacks and doing light attacks. So really you can just like sit back and just throw your AoEs, do your single target DPS, and do your light attacks and heavy attacks. And it's a pretty forgiving build because, again, you've got baseline AoEs, and then you've got single target abilities, and a lot of these have long durations. The pets do a lot of the work for you, and you just have to learn how to do light attacking and heavy attacking, and it's a pretty straightforward build. Again, I'll link that in the description for you guys so you guys can follow that one directly if you guys want to see. He goes over the exact rotation in that, but this is a class that is very simple to learn if you're a beginner. So the next class I'm going to showcase, guys, and the last one is my Stamina Sorcerer class. So this is obviously stamina based, and again, this is a very straightforward class, and this one again is on Alcast's website, and I will link that in the description as well so you guys can follow it to what you guys want to, or you can change things up. I think I changed a few things up, but it's pretty similar, and this I feel like is another good class to start out on. So if we're going to start out on my first bar, it's going to be a 2-handed weapon build plus a bow build. That's the one I went with. So the 2-handed weapon build on this bar, you're going to have Reverse Slice from the 2-handed weapon tree. You're going to have Rally 1. That's just a skill that I personally have. I like it. Reverse Slice, you just spin around, deal a lot of damage. It's pretty awesome. It's also kind of like a cone ability. This gives you a buff on basically you, and it's pretty freaking amazing. It also heals you. Brawler, which is like a swinging cone ability as well. Wrecking Blow, and then Critical Surge. Sorry about that. And then on the back bar, the bow, you've got Arrow Barrage, which is pretty standard in every bow build. You're going to basically have this on every bow build. You're almost going to always have Poison Injection. You're going to have, this is Crystal Fragments. This is actually standing in place, but this is actually going to be Trap Beast. Once I get to Trap Beast, I'm almost at level 8. So this will be Trap Beast. And then Bound Ornaments on this part right here, and Hurricane. And also to mention, the Rally right now is just standing in for Bound Ornaments. So you'll have Bound Ornaments on both sides of the build. And so, because if you look here, it says while slotted, your max stamina is increased by 8% and your light attack damage is increased by 10%. So on this side, it's so good because you're light attacking with your 2-hand and you're using all these stamina abilities. So it's really good. So that's the skills in this. So basically the rotation of how I do my rotation is I like to start on my bow and I go shoot my bow, bound ornaments, then I do the lightning form, poison injection, and then I go this, critical surge, wrecking blow, brawler. You can throw in a rally in there. Like I said, that's not going to be on the bar. It's just going to be bound ornaments. But you just hit them with the two-hand, use your two-hand abilities, light attack, and then you switch back when arrow barrage is done. Do it again. Poison injection. You can use your crystal or your bound ornaments thing. Use your lightning form, rally. That critical surge is almost done. Use your wrecking blow, brawler. Do that. You basically do that again until your bow ends. Do it again, over and over, rinse and repeat. So again, it's a pretty straightforward build. And again, there's skills that last a long time. Arrow barrage lasts pretty short amount of time, but it still gives you enough time to do your thing. So you pop bound ornaments. This lasts for 40 seconds. So every time you do a light or a heavy attack, it causes you to get stacks. It's sort of like the flame ability in Dragon Knight, and you can click it again and do an extra damage ability once you have that. And it's so simple to get that. It's so easy because you're just clicking and weaving your attacks as you do your abilities. Then you do your lightning form, you switch, you can do rally, or, again, that's not going to be there, but you can do, your bound ornaments whenever you need to. But you drop critical surge, that's 33 seconds. This is a buff. Then you can do wrecking blow, brawler, reverse slice. You just keep spamming those until you hit arrow barrage is done. Do it again and just rinse and repeat. And again, the things that help this build go and make it easy to learn is you have long durations on your abilities. They're pretty straightforward. There's not like intricate things that you necessarily need to know, in my opinion. So this is another class that I would recommend. And again, I know anyone can probably make a case out there that there's other classes out there that are easy to learn, but I just wanted to showcase a few here that I have played with and that I have experience with that I think are really, really easy to learn. If you have any other ones, again, suggest them in the comments. Let me know, let other people know, because there might be a better build or a better style of play for someone that in the ones that I didn't mention. So make sure to comment that in the comment section. Also, I know Werewolf is a pretty easy build as well, and it's pretty straightforward. The only reason why I did not include Werewolf is because you have to purchase the Werewolf skill line basically in the crown store for 1,500 crowns, or you've got to get a Werewolf bite. So I just wanted to try to stick with base game classes. Now, the last thing I want to talk to you guys about, and this is pretty simple, this is going to be short, is basically the overarching class that is best for beginners to learn on. And I think that you guys can basically tell from me playing that Sorcerer is my pick for the best beginner class to start out on, because it's just got tons of AoE abilities. It's got simple single target DPS abilities. And it's just a simple all-around rotation to learn, no matter if you throw stamina in there or magic in there. It's seriously, I think, one of the easiest classes to start out on versus Dragon Knight, Templar, Necromancer, Warden, all that stuff. And again, Necromancer and Warden, that's expansion-based classes, so you might not even have those. So just want to keep that in mind with you. Nightblade as well. Like, I just think Sorcerer is the best overall class to try out for a beginner, because it's got ranged abilities, it's got AoEs, and it doesn't require you to like really think too much, in my opinion. Because, for example, again, you have like classes like the Templar, and the Templar has a lot of buffs that have to be active during the rotation, at least Magicka Templar. So for instance, there's skills that you have to have active that only last 5 to 10 seconds. There's like multiple of them that if you don't have them active when you do your rotation, then your DPS will drop a good amount, because you're not getting the most output out of your DPS if you're not utilizing that well enough. So in my opinion, I think that tends to be harder for beginners when they're learning how to do rotations. So that's why like Templar, in my opinion, isn't that simple when you're doing DPS. But we are finally done, guys. I know this was a long video, and I'm sorry about that, but I wanted to cover this stuff because, again, I've seen people asking about this, and I've seen other things that basically people have been confused about with beginner classes, because ESO really does not give us a set beginner class. You really have to figure it out on your own. So I really hope that you guys got something out of this. I hope that it was helpful and it kind of helps you kind of decide what class you're going to build if you're just starting out. Again, let me know if I missed anything in the comments. Let me know if there's any other classes that you think would be good for beginners. Put those in the comments. And don't forget, again, to like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed the content. Again, I try to release at least 2 videos a week that help players in ESO. Again, I stream Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday on twitch.tv/BrowieGotThis. And again, you can always join my Discord and my guild in-game. I'll put all that in the description, and I'll put all of Alcast's and Deltia's Gaming's websites and builds that I'm utilizing in this video in my characters. I'll put those in the description as well. But until next time, guys, remember to have faith, be great, and I'll see you guys later.